Hi guys, I'm on holidays and finally found some time to sit down and do this Q&A video. Sorry for the delay, but let's sit down, share a beer and get stuck into it. First of all, I'm going to show you a little bit of a flight review. This is the Qantas domestic 737. It's a flight I did on the second day of my holidays. Unfortunately, I had to go to Melbourne for the day. So here's some footage of that flight. I've done 75 flights this year. 28 of them are on this type of aircraft domestically between Adelaide and Sydney and Melbourne and Brisbane. I reckon I upgraded about 3 of them on points. So 25 of the flights that I've done this year, or a third of them in total, been in economy class with Qantas on a 737. As with all 737s, they're configured in a 3x3 layout, and the best seats for couples are basically anywhere you want to sit. Qantas allocates the first few rows in economy to its platinum frequent flyers, and if the flight is not full, we'll leave the middle seat free. This makes for a very comfortable flight. The seats themselves are comfortable with a good amount of legroom. Unfortunately, in recent years though, cabin cleaning has taken a backward step, as demonstrated by the tray table on this flight. So this was a mid-morning flight, so there was no meal service. Instead, Qantas provides a snack. I had some sort of lamington, it was okay. Free drinks are provided, soft drinks during the day, and for the evening flights there's free beer and wine. For entertainment on board domestic flights, most of the Qantas aircraft have now got what they call Q streaming, where you download the app onto your tablet or your mobile and they stream a whole lot of movies and TV shows. There's a great amount of content. Brings me to the first question from Paul from Paul's Trip Reports, who does some fantastic flight review videos as well. And he asked if this is the future of in-flight entertainment and whether we will still see the back of seat TV screens. I reckon it is. I reckon within a few years all of those back of seat TV screens will be gone, especially from short haul flights. It makes much more sense to have downloadable apps because everybody's got a smartphone these days or an iPad. It's lighter weight for the aircraft, so it saves them money. It's only a 50-minute flight over to Melbourne, so quick and easy. Before we knew it, it was time to descend, and we were descending into Melbourne. So now let's get into the Q&A. The question I get asked the most is, how can you afford to fly so much, and why are you flying so much? Well, I work for our family travel business. It's myself, my brother and my mother. The three of us co-own, and I'm the managing director. We run small group tours specifically for Australian travellers all over the world. We take what we do very seriously, so there's a lot of quality control. I travel a lot to join a group for a few days, site inspections or conferences and other bits and pieces, or training tour guides. Work pays for me to fly business class internationally. Domestically it's in economy class. I'll then sometimes use points or if I can get a good deal, my own money to upgrade to first class. The other question we get a lot was, where was I born and where do I live? Well, I live in Adelaide, South Australia, probably one of the best places in the world to live. Life here is really easy. I'm sitting in my back garden. The office is a 30-minute walk that way. The beach is about a 15-minute drive that way. The Adelaide Hills, where you can see wild koalas, are about 15 minutes that way, and surrounding here are about 400 wineries within a 2-hour drive, so a great place to live. I was born in Holland, but we immigrated as a family when I was 7, so that's the reason I don't have a Dutch accent. Worst airline experience. It was only once that I thought, look, this is getting really dodgy, and that was after a long trip. I was doing the final leg from Melbourne into Adelaide in economy class. I went to the bathroom and I was just washing my hands. Suddenly this massive bout of turbulence occurred. The seatbelt sign came on. I opened the door, holding on like this, and the hostie out in the back galley was hanging on for dear life to this trolley which was going all over the place. She looked at me and I could see the fear in her eyes. She says, "You better stay in there." So I, during the turbulence, was in the bathroom like this thinking, I don't want to die in a toilet. My best flight experience has to be that Etihad A380 first class apartment. That was sensational. The link to it is below. You've got to check that video, it was fantastic. Best economy class long haul. I've been asked a few times. I reckon if you're going to fly a long haul economy, you've got to fly with an airline that does that for a living. So Qantas, Emirates, Singapore Airlines, Qatar, they're the ones to go with. Cathay Pacific and New Zealand, people that are doing it all the time. The European or the American carriers who are doing primarily short haul and only a few long haul routes, they just don't get it. All right, so stick with a carrier that is a long way from everywhere else, and therefore everything they do is long haul. Air New Zealand, Qantas, you can't go wrong. Singapore Airlines, fantastic. Qatar, the same. Best business class seat has to be the Qatar Q Suite. Also the Qatar A350 is fantastic, and the A380. So Qatar wins it from me. I'd love to try the new Singapore Airlines business class seats. I haven't tried those yet. They're definitely on my list. I've got a few questions, people asking what the best airport is to transfer through if you're flying from Australia through to Europe. My favourite is Singapore's Changi Airport. It's still the best airport out there. You've got a swimming pool, you've got transit hotels, there's heaps of things to do. There's a cinema, a butterfly garden, you can get out onto the roof terrace. Second is Doha, Qatar. Really good airport, easy to transfer through. Last are the generic questions. What's a tip? What's some good tips for getting good business class and first class travel? My number one tip for travel has to be see your local travel agent. Make friends with your local agent. Tell them what you're after. They've got access to some really good business class deals certain time of the year. Depending on where you live, it depends on which airline is going to be the cheapest. The home carrier is always going to be the most expensive. So in Australia, Qantas is going to be the most expensive. Out of Australia, Finnair and Qatar do some really, really good deals. Etihad does some really good deals as well. So you've just got to make friends with your local travel agent, tell them what you're after, and get them to sort you some great deals. Now for some individual questions. Dunter Stanley, thanks for your question. What is your status level for each airline alliance, and is there a noticeable difference between the service due to status? Yes, there is a noticeable difference, especially if you're with Qantas Platinum. As I mentioned on this flight, there's priority seating, priority boarding, you get access to the lounges, and your wait lists and points upgrades get confirmed before lower status flies. I'm Platinum status with Qantas, which is One World Emerald. Up until recently, that was the only one that I had. I do have now Star Alliance through the United Airlines program, which is pretty good. I'm gold status with that. In the same vein, Simply Travel asks, who do you like better, One World or SkyTeam? Should also add Star Alliance into that mix. Look, I'm definitely One World because Qantas, being the largest carrier here, is a One World carrier, so it works better for me. Second cab off the rank was Star Alliance. SkyTeam, I've never actually really wanted to fly any of the airlines in SkyTeam. That said, I recently flew Air France and they were fantastic. Their business class and their 787 was really, really good. And the new Delta One product looks fantastic as well. So I've joined Air France flying blue, and hopefully I'll be flying them a bit more in the future. Okay, Andrew's got a few questions. First one is, if your budget is limited, would you rather fly economy and stay at better hotels, or fly business or first class and stay at cheaper accommodation? I would always spend the money on the ground rather than in the air. If I'm flying on holiday, especially with my family, there's 4 of us, I would never pay for business class seats because you could use that money to spend an extra 2 weeks in Europe. It doesn't make sense to spend it in the air. Birds in the background. Andrew's second question is, how can British Airways regain its image as a premium carrier? It's a tough question. Look, Mum used to work for them back in the 80s, and at that stage they were the world's favourite airline. They've really lost their way. What can they do to fix it? I think they need a complete overhaul of their hard product, that is their seats and their in-flight product. The crew provide nice service, they're friendly and engaging. They're not backed up though by the guys on the ground. The airport staff, especially at Heathrow, weren't brilliant. And they need to decide whether they actually want to compete with the airlines that set the standards. Do they want to compete in that league, or do they want to be an also-ran carrier, a sort of a second or third tier carrier? If they want to be that, that's fine. Don't make themselves out to be brilliant if they're not. Andrew's third question, What are other business and first class passengers like? Have you ever witnessed snobbery or self-entitled behaviour, and are they generally okay? Look, you see lots of videos of people with air rage and stuff. I've never seen it. Fly lots, I've never seen somebody misbehave, never seen anybody get kicked off a flight. Business class and first class passengers generally all fine. A lot of them stick to themselves. They use that time to chill out and just relax because they're leading busy lifestyles. Others are happy to engage. I've never had a bad person sit next to me, always had really good conversation, met some really nice people along the way. Next question. Mo of FitzMum says, "Hi Dennis, thanks for making these videos." You're welcome. I always wonder when seeing flight reviews, does it feel awkward to film yourself around other passengers and the flight crew? In the beginning it did. Eventually you get used to it. There's a lot more people doing it these days, and I just do my own thing and don't take much notice of other people. That said, I do always try to make sure that I never film other passengers' faces. So I'll always ask for a seat at the back of the cabin that I'm filming in, and I won't film the flight crew unless I've asked their permission first. Next question. Wingtip Aviation asks, what do you think of the fan page dedicated to you on Instagram? Well, it freaked me out a little bit. I thought it was the kids taking the piss, but it turns out it wasn't them. Most of the people following it, I think, are the staff at work, and they use it to take the piss out of me. So I think it's quite funny. If a Wingtip Aviation, if it was you, thanks. Burns Knight asks, have you ever been recognised by somebody working for an airline and got something for free? I haven't been recognised by any of the air crew, but I have been recognised by other passengers. I was on a Qatar A380 flight once, and in business class, sitting in the bar, and 3 passengers on board recognised me, which was a little bit freaky. Had a couple of people come up to me at the airport and just in the shops here in Adelaide. If you do ever see me travelling around, come up and say hi. More than happy to have a chat. Here's a question from Hackerson Scotch. With first class being phased out by some airlines, what's the main advantage of first class over business class? Look, you're right. There's a lot of airlines getting rid of first class altogether, and what you're buying with first class over business class is exclusivity. You're one of only 4 or 6 or 8 passengers on board that cabin, rather than 30 or 40 or 50 in a business class cabin. So it's that exclusivity. But you get a lay flat bed, as you do in most business classes these days. It'll be interesting to see where first class ends up. Certainly airlines like Qatar, with their business first Q suites, are looking at phasing out first class altogether, I think. But then you have carriers like Singapore Airlines and Emirates, who have both just released new first class products. So it's an interesting space. Adam Smith asks, what is the best airline PJs you've had? Ooh, it's tough. I reckon the new Emirates first class one with the moisturising qualities have been fantastic. I had the flu recently, and I wore them all week, and it's the only thing that got me through. He also asked, if you had the choice of economy to say London and first on the way back, or business class both ways, which would you choose? I would actually choose economy over and first class back, because it would allow me to do 2 flight review videos. Daniel from Hungary, who goes under the username Smiles and Miles, asks, how many countries have you been to? Look, I haven't totaled it up recently, but it's around about 85, which sounds a lot. My mother's been to over 100, and my brother, I think, is going to hit 100 in February. Alex Penny asks, do you ever get bored of travelling? No way. I absolutely love my job, and I love getting on a plane and getting out and seeing the world. If I don't have at least 2 trips planned and to look forward to, I start to get a bit jittery. I'm very lucky in my job. I travel and I see some fantastic things, you know, because places like Machu Picchu or Abu Simbel or Petra, the pyramids, I see some fantastic things, and I never ever get sick of traveling. Finally, I've been asked, how did I get into doing these YouTube videos? Look, it's a hobby, and it's just got out of hand. I was doing travel videos for Bunnik Tours, the Bunnik Tours YouTube channel, and I upgraded one of my flights with Qantas once from business class to first using points, and I went online to have a look at some flight reviews, and I thought, hey, I could do this. I've got a camera, so why not? I never ever thought that I would get to 38,000 subscribers and almost 6.5 million views. It is a hobby that has got well out of hand, but it's got that way because of the amazing support that I've had from other YouTubers out there and everybody else who has watched, shared and subscribed. I really appreciate it. Want to send a massive thank you out to everybody who's watched my videos. Thank you very much. Thank you for all the questions. A few other people I've got to thank as well is my family for putting up with me, and my mate Chris, who does all my editing for me, except for this video. I'm doing this one myself because he's on holiday. Well deserved too. Yeah, just a massive thank you. In terms of 2018, it's going to be another massive year of travel. In February, I'm heading over to Sri Lanka, flying the new 777 business class of Emirates and coming back with Thai Airways business and first class. Then in March, April, I'm combining Europe, Morocco and Japan, flying both Finnair and Japan Airlines in business class and various European carriers. Going with Cathay Pacific to Europe in July. I don't know who I'm flying back with yet because the wayover's on frequent flyer points. I want to do an around the world airfare with Star Alliance sometime during the year as well, because I want to try a couple of the airlines that have been really getting a lot of requests for. That is Air New Zealand and Air Canada. They are both high on the list of the ones that I want to try. Thank you for watching this video. All the best for 2018, and as always, happy travels. Thank you.